Good afternoon, family. Thanks for checking out today's video. If you're new here, my name is Jonathan, and I created this channel as a way to record my progress as I work towards my goal of losing 300 pounds. If you'd like to join the family, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Also, click on the bell icon so you get alerted when I go live or post new videos. If you'd like to participate on the discussion, you can join me most weekdays where I go live on YouTube, or outside of YouTube, you can consider joining the Discord I've created. There's a link for that down in the description below. Also, down in the description below is a link to a Facebook page and also a Pinterest board. And that Pinterest board is a great place for you guys to check out the different meals and recipes that I've been enjoying as I've been working towards my weight loss goals. Today is day 1017 of my challenge to lose 300 pounds. So far, through a combination of extended water fasting and a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet, I have been able to lose 270 pounds. If anybody has any non-scale victories they'd like to share, I'd love to hear your non-scale victories. If you have any on-scale victories, I love hearing those as well. If you're struggling with your diet, let us know what's going on. Maybe there's something we can help you with. We all struggle with our own things, and maybe we can help you. What else? If you're succeeding with your diet, let us know what's going on, what you're doing to succeed. Let us all know. And at the end of the day, what are some things that you are doing or that you can do that will make staying on your diet easier than the alternative? Go ahead, switch over to the main screen here. Hello. It's been forever since I've seen you guys. I think I was live last Tuesday, and that was the only day I was live last week. So it's great to see everyone here. A few people checking in. Hi, Christy, Pretty Girl's mom, Linda, Tennis and Yoga Girl, Plants Only Muncher, and Randy Joseph from Seattle. Hey, Randy, thanks for joining us today. And Tammy's here. Hello, Tammy. I hope you guys have all had a great week, I guess. Usually I say day or weekend, but a great week. I had a very busy week. That's why I wasn't able to go live. We have an event that we have a trailer that we set up at the event. It's a whole weekend thing, which ends up, kind of Wednesday, I got to go set everything up. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, the event happens. So I'm there pretty much all evening on Thursday and Friday evening, and then Saturday for most of the day. And it was a fun event. It was nice to be outside again. Feel like I hadn't been outside in a while. Carrie saying, hello, everyone. It's been too long. Yes, it feels like it's been forever. And when I did check in, it was only for a moment, one day, and then I was gone again. So it's great to be back here and checking in with everybody today. So yeah, it was a very busy week for us, but we survived it. I was able to get some much needed rest yesterday. And I feel a little bit more refreshed today than I have in really a month of trying to get back into the swing of things here. Let's see. Big Crazy Tony's checking in saying hi. Hi, Big Crazy Tony. Hey, Barb, welcome back. Yes, thanks, Barb. I'm happy to be back. It has been an interesting few weeks, and I'll go over that. I don't really even think I have much for food photos to go through from the past week. Let me even see what pops up. Let's see. Yeah, I don't have hardly any photos. The few photos I do have are from today, and it's really been today's goal for me has been to just get back on track on my diet. I have eaten a lot of processed foods over the past couple weeks, and I think a little bit of it I let it happen. And kind of in my head, I think I at one point had just decided that I was going to worry about it when I got done with everything from this past weekend. And now this past weekend's over. So I have to worry about it now. Not worry about it, but just get back on track and get back into it. Because the big thing that I love about this diet is that I've had many slips, or I've had many hiatuses from the diet, or periods of time where I've eaten processed foods or not stuck to the whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar free part of, aspect of my diet. But the great thing has always been that I've been able to get back on track, and that's what I'm doing again today. Let's see. Susan says, "Hi everyone, happy Monday." Hi Susan, I hope you're having a great day. Shoebomb says, "Do you need a good thumbnail designer?" Well, I'm my thumbnail designer, and I don't know if they're good or not. I just kind of throw some photos together and just go live with it. So, but let me see. I was going to show the getting back on track photos. Let's see here. Because today my goal had, and what I realized after the last live stream was that I don't have, or I never got a full day of eating back in. I never got back into eating an abundance of whole food, plant-based foods. And Randy says, like, what processed foods? A big one for me was Chipotle. I had that a few times. And so some of the ingredients they use in their burritos are a little bit more processed. And then like the pretzels and hummus and some of the other chips and things like that would be some of the processed foods that I've eaten. Nothing that I guess, yeah, I was okay with eating everything I ate at the time, and I don't regret any of what I ate. I felt like I was just allowing myself to be off plan, and I was okay with it. And I was still sprinkling in oatmeal meals and potato meals. It just wasn't a full day of back on track eating. And that's what today's goal has been. So just to kind of go over the few photos I have from today, here is breakfast this morning. Was our standard oatmeal. We don't have any spinach, or we didn't have any spinach this morning, so there is no spinach in the oatmeal. And then I was very excited because my big brown bowl is back. I feel like that's what has been missing from my diet for a month now, is my big brown bowl that I fill with potatoes, and then I throw broccoli on top of that. And so I didn't get a great photo of the broccoli and potatoes mixed together, but I was very happy to have my big brown bowl and fill it with potatoes and get that abundance of low calorie dense foods and get caught back up. I really think that week I was gone, or the 10 days I was gone, I was eating such a low volume of food and really low calorie on top of that, that when I got back and food wasn't scarce like it was on the trip, I just went wild and I ate crazy for really the past 2 weeks. So that's been my road to getting back on track. Tonight, I believe we're going to have probably some Spanish beans or Spanish rice, and so that should be a good dinner that we have tonight. I missed a few comments here. Matt says, never beat ourselves up. It's fine. Yeah. And Carrie here says that getting back to it is what is important. Yeah. And that's what's been great about this diet, is I've been able to get back to it because I'm not starving myself. I feel like that's what causes the failure in all of the other diets I've done is that they're such low volume diets that once you eat something that's highly processed or something that's off plan, your body just craves more and more volume, and it's trying to get as much volume as possible. And I'm going to give my body the volume. I'm just not going to give it the calorie density that it's looking for. Matt here says it's hard to be compliant always. Yes, it is. Especially when you're surrounded by so many, an abundance of junk food. Tammy here says you're stuck trying to lose 15 to 20 pounds. Any suggestions? Tighten up the diet. That's going to be, if your diet is perfect, then look at the density of your diet and see where you're getting the calories at. Because if you're eating a whole food plant-based diet with no added salt, oil, or sugar, the calorie density is going to be very low, and it's going to be hard to overeat on calories. So I would take a look at your diet. If your diet's on point and you feel like you're doing as much as you can with diet, then the only other thing you can do is increase the exercise or activity level that you're doing. Carrie said that in the oatmeal this morning, since we didn't have spinach, there is riced cauliflower in it. And tonight we are having Spanish rice. Yeah, Randy says, I agree those foods won't help you, but could have been way worse. Glad you are back. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's, and there's really, yeah, it could have been worse. And there's lines that I haven't crossed that I continue to stick to, that I'm still trying to figure out that kind of stuff. But I know over the last 1,000 days that I've been doing this, that if I want to see weight loss, I need to be compliant with the diet. And once I start adding the salt and the, added fat to my diet, my body starts to retain fluid. I inflame very quickly. My calves are swollen ridiculously. I don't think I can show them, but it's something that within a couple days, I'm hoping to see that swelling go down and see the benefits of being compliant and back on my diet. Let's see. And Matt here says, my off plan ain't nothing like it used to be. Yes, it's the same way for me. My off plan, the thing that I run into is still not being able to eat in moderation. So when I do eat things off plan, I seem to eat an abundance of food still. And so I need to replace those calories. I need to change those calories. And there's a few analogies that I've been thinking about over the past couple weeks with it. And the big one is that everybody has their own diet. And I try to think about my diet like being at a buffet. And the things that I'm eating on my current diet or what's on the buffet table or like what I ate before. So 3 years ago, before I started this, my diet consisted of fast food, gas station food, pizzas, highly, like just all kinds of items. And that's where I would go. Just like if you when I went to a buffet before, the buffet would be lined up. There'd be the salad bar, and then there'd be the main dishes, and then the dessert. And I'd always just skip the salad bar. So my buffet line started at the meat and the cheese and the macaroni and cheese and all that other stuff. And so that wasn't even part of my diet. So it wasn't at my buffet table. And so now my new diet, the buffet table that I walk up to is different. I don't go to the second part. I just go to the first part, for where the salads are. And all of us are going to try to eat as much food as possible. Really. I mean, our bodies are crave volume, and if I allow things on that buffet table, like the Chipotle or the pretzels and the hummus, then I am increasing the calorie density of the whole table, and that is causing weight gain. And so I need to realign my buffet table to back to what it has been: the oatmeal, the potatoes, the broccoli, the Spanish rice, the mega veggie chili, the salads, the quinoa, all of the wonderful foods that we had been eating. I need to put those back on the buffet table and take the processed foods off of my mental buffet table, I guess. And so, yeah, I'm excited to get back into it, get a few days of clean eating again. I've talked about this in the past, that I always seem to realize 3 to 4 days in that it was a mistake to go off plan in the first place after I eat clean for a while. The other thing that drives me nuts is that I have this swelling that happens in my legs, because I thought that swelling was a 400-pound problem, because it didn't really notice the swelling until I got up to being 400 plus pounds. In reality, the swelling was probably there. I just didn't notice it, or it wasn't as bad. But the damage that I did is lasting. It's not something that was solved by losing 250 pounds. And that's frustrating, because I was hoping that was a 400-pound problem and not just the rest of my life kind of problem, which it may end up being. Tony here says he's currently 500 pounds. Any pointers? You have been binge eating fast food. You're on day 2 of a water fast. Oh man. Yeah, I could give you all kinds of suggestions here, Tony. Read the Pleasure Trap book. That was where I started when I was water fasting. I found out about True North, and it's a clinic that does medically supervised water fasts. And my concern with water fasting is, when I started, I planned to do a 30-day water fast. I ended up pushing it to 40 days. But my concern was what I was going to do refeeding afterwards. I was worried that I was going to do something to hurt myself. And then also, I had done a water fast a few years previously where I lost some weight, but I went back to my old way of eating. So my goal this time was to water fast and then find a better way of eating. And I feel like I found that through reading The Pleasure Trap and following a whole food plant-based diet with no added salt, oil, or sugar. It sounds like a crazy extreme diet, but I eat a much larger variety of food, and I also get to eat the volume. This is the pointer. Here's a pointer. You eat more food than the other people around you, just like I ate more food than the other people around me. We all have an amount of food that our body wants to eat. For some of the skinny people, maybe it's 3 pounds, maybe it's 4 pounds is what their body craves to eat. Or maybe for you and for me, it's 6 pounds or 7 pounds, and maybe that's high, but regardless of whatever the word is, either way, you're going to eat a certain poundage of food each day. You don't realize it because you've been counting calories probably for years, like I had been counting calories. But I never sat down at the end of a meal after eating a tub of ice cream and said, oh man, I'm stuffed full of calories. I've sat there and said, I'm stuffed full of food. I just ate a whole large pizza and a half pint of ice cream. Yeah, I'm stuffed full of food, but it didn't matter the calorie count. If I would have eaten the same volume of food in regular potatoes and broccoli as I did in the pizza and the ice cream, I would have been just as satisfied, because I would have satisfied my body's volume cravings, but I wouldn't have been putting all the extra calories in. A pound of potatoes is like 300 calories. A pound of potato chips is like 3,000 calories. And so it's the content of the food. You have to lower the calorie density of the food you're eating. I imagine that if you're 500 pounds, there's a lot of oil in your diet. Oil is 4,000 calories per pound. So just a spoonful of oil in a food is going to increase the calorie density 10 to double, triple maybe. Or with potato chips, it's 10 times, because that's what makes the potato chip so high in calories is not the potato, it's the oil that they fry the potato in. So look at the foods you're eating and start adding in low calorie dense foods. And in order to make those low calorie dense foods enjoyable, you have to eat them exclusively. Because if you start adding high calorie foods in, your body, your mind, your body, everything's going to go towards the highest calorie food every time. If I started having avocado in my diet regularly, I would go to avocado every single day. And I did that back 400 days ago. When I was even eating avocado, I was eating it every day, and I was eating like a whole avocado each day. And I realized I needed to cut that out, and I needed to replace that avocado with something else that was lower in calorie density. So if you're 500 pounds, you eat a high volume of food. And every diet you've ever been on has told you to quit eating that high volume of food that you crave. And that's where it fails. Under eating is like undersleeping. If you only sleep 2 hours a night, eventually it's going to catch up to you and you're not going to be able to function. If you only eat a third of the volume that you're supposed to eat each day, it's going to catch up to you, and you're gonna lose sight of what's going on. So when you are hungry, go towards the steamed broccoli, the potatoes, the rice. Go towards the low calorie dense foods, the spinach, the kales, the fresh fruit, all of that stuff. You can eat that in pretty much as you can stomach, and you're not going to gain weight eating low calorie dense foods. So that's what I would say. Give calorie density a look, volume eating a look. Check out my old live streams from when I was doing my fasting. It was something that the first 20 days of my water fast, I had no idea what I was going to do to eat afterwards. Once I figured out what I was going to do, it was wonderful. The 40 days I water fasted, I lost 90 pounds. I figured that after I water fasted, I would gain a bunch of weight when I refed. 10 days after my, or maybe 8 days after my water fast, got on the scale, I'd lost another 10 pounds by eating a whole food plant-based diet. So I didn't have that rebound. And so if you have any questions, Tony, please let me know, and I'd love to answer them. Give it a look. Give eating plants a shot. Because I never would. My brother eats kind of a dirty vegan diet. He did before I started this, and he told me, you should look into doing a potato diet or look into eating a vegan diet. And I was like, nah, there's no way. Maybe I'll eat like a paleo diet with a lot of vegetables, is what I told him. And then 40 days later, completely changed my mind and my opinion on it. And then now 1,000 days later, I am so thankful that I listened to it, because if I would have had to have read it, I wouldn't have done it. It's all part of the motivational triad if you read the book. But I was able to download it on Audible and listen to it. I listened to that, and then I listened to Eat to Live by Joel Fuhrman, which is another great book. Any of the T. Colin Campbell books are great. Education is another important thing as well. Randy here says, maybe time in the state of health, over time the swelling will heal. Yeah, that would be wonderful if it does. But I also have to come to terms with the fact that I have done irreversible damage to my body in some ways. And I can look at my skin and see that's pretty apparent. And just like I damaged my skin by having the excess weight, I probably damaged parts of my digestive system, parts of my, you know, circulatory system, um, just like I damaged my skin. And it would be naive of me to think that I spent 20 plus years and still counting, obese and morbidly obese, um, and be able to walk away unscathed. Um, and maybe as a kid, like that was a mindset of, oh, I'll just take care of it when I get older. But that whole time I was doing permanent damage that I'm going to have to deal with. And so, um, yeah, so maybe it'll get better, but at the end of it, I know right now that when I'm compliant on my diet, that it does make those symptoms go away, whatever those symptoms might be of. But yes, so let's see. Matt here says, I'm sorry about your legs, but the positive is it will keep you eating clean. Yes, that's a great, yes, that's what I was thinking actually when I was responding this. The worse we feel eating garbage, the better. Yeah. And the first part of that is that it keeps me motivated to stick to the diet. It it shows, or it proves to me that I'm not clear of the consequences of my poor choices over the years. And yeah, that's good. Let's see. Plants Only Muncher says to Tony to check out the How Not to Diet by Dr. Greger. That's a good book. Also, The Starch Solution by John McDougall. And then Come Here Every Weekday. There you go. Yeah, those are also both great books. How Not to Diet, How Not to Die is a good book. And then The Starch Solution, I think he's got another one, Maximum Weight Loss by John McDougall. If you go down in the description of all of my videos, I have listed all of the books I've listened to on Audible over the past 3 years. And almost all of them I would recommend for some reason or another. I may not follow the teachings of every thing I've read, but I do. A lot of those books have influenced the decisions that I make each day. Tony says, you'll definitely hit me up. You're 30 and the weight is starting to cause back pain and joints. Cutting the grass now, and I have to take a day off work to recover. Yeah, I know how that feels. I was just talking with one of my coworkers that I've worked with for years, and I was commenting about how, like, a couple years ago, I did a triathlon after I had lost some weight here. I was, let's see, 70 to 80 pounds heavier than I am now. And I was thinking about how tough that triathlon would have, how much easier that triathlon would be today now that I'm 70 pounds lighter. And I made a comment about how, I don't know if I could even walk around all day with an 80-pound backpack on me. And then I thought, can you imagine a 270-pound backpack? Just having another one of me just riding piggyback on my shoulders or on my back. And I was like, I don't know how I was able to get around. And they kind of from the corner yelled, well, you didn't, you sat everywhere. And that was pretty much true. Is I sat down all the time. The only time that I was up and moving is to get from my house to my car, from my car to my office, and, getting up when it was absolutely required for me to get up. And that was all because of that burden of carrying around the extra 300 pounds that I had been carrying around. And uh, it's amazing. The difference, just getting 50 pounds off from 400 or 500 will make you feel great. But getting all, I mean, I can do push-ups. I can get up off the ground without having to use a couch or a table to help me get up off the ground. I can take care of cleaning myself after going to the bathroom without any issues. Tying my own shoes, cutting my own toenails. All of this stuff is stuff that I slowly lost the ability to do, and I let it happen because it happened one thing at a time. I couldn't cut my toenails very well or easily, and then it became I couldn't tie my shoes, and then it became wearing my shoes with the laces open or with them real loose so I could just slide them on. And it isn't, it's something where if somebody were to go from being a healthy weight to flipping a switch the next day and being 500 pounds heavier or 300 pounds heavier, they wouldn't be able to handle the change. They wouldn't be able to handle the difficulty. But because it happened a quarter of a pound at a time or a pound at a time, day after day, you get used to it. And it's that analogy of a frog in a pot. If you throw the frog in the hot pot, it's going to jump out. But if you put it in the pot when the water is room temperature and then slowly heat the water up, then you can, then the frog won't jump out. And we're the same way with weight. If it was all of a sudden, then we would do something to fix it. But because you slowly lost the ability to do these little things one at a time, you don't think about them as a whole cumulative, like, what am I missing? And then looking at those big tasks you have to do and thinking about how much it's going to take out of you and how you have to take a day off and all that stuff. Shrinking Shadow says, sorry I'm late. You're looking great. Thank you, Shrinking Shadow. I really appreciate it. Yes. Gene says, stay in touch. Randy says, lots of good YouTubers now on for plant-based. For example, Javent. I don't know what Javent is. Vegan healthy eating. I'll have to look that up. I don't know if I've heard of that before. But yes, there are some great creators out there. Chef AJ is somebody that I am a big fan of. I don't get a chance to watch a lot of her content, but I do like what she does. She definitely helped me out a ton, and she has a lot of great people on there. Broccoli Mom, I think, has some good what I eat in a day, kind of showing what volume eating and calorie density truly looks like. Let's see, Dylan from Well Your World, that channel made a huge difference. That was really what pushed me into looking into the True North Clinic, was watching a video from Well Your World where he was at the True North Clinic. And I think he did a 7-day water fast while he was there. And he was towards the end of his water fast. And just the things he was saying really resonated with me. And that's what got me to look into the True North Clinic and the Pleasure Trap book. And so I, definitely grateful for content creators like Well Your World, Chef AJ, and there's a lot of other ones out there as well. Let's see. Randy here says, good point about coming to terms. Thank you for saying that about permanent damage. Yeah, it's something where it's taken time to realize it. And I think we're so naive. I think that at least I was. And I think that because from the time I've been 20 years old, I've always kind of had this mindset that, well, at the end of the day, I could just do weight loss surgery and then not eat any food, do that and then lose weight through that. And I think that mentality helped kind of kick the can down the road as far as taking that personal responsibility. Because I always, I didn't, it's a weird thing to talk about or think about, is that like, I didn't want to do weight loss surgery. And that's why I started this channel. This challenge was kind of I got to finally do something or else I got to go talk to a doctor. And I didn't want to do an intervention like that. But at the same time, I knew I needed to do something. And, but just having that as an option, I guess to get back to what I was saying, is just having that as an option, I think also drove my weight up. I think that, watching TV shows that kind of glorified the surgery and seeing, what seemed like something that I could do. A lot of the times it's like, well, you got to go see a doctor and then follow their diet for a couple months and then lose some weight through their diet. Then they'll put you on the surgery. I always looked at that and was like, well, I could do that. I could do that to get the surgery done. And at a certain point, there's options where you don't even have to go through any of the hoops. You can just go to another country and just get the surgery. But yeah, I wanted to avoid it. I wanted to do it on my own or do it without that. And so that's what caused me to start this channel. But yeah, just that mentality caused years and years more of damage. If the surgery was never an option, if at 22 years old, the doctor would have said, hey, you will never qualify for a weight loss surgery, maybe I would have changed that would have changed my future. That would have changed how the decisions I made and the times where I was, okay with eating the crap food or the junk food. Anyways, Amanda says, congrats on your journey. You are so inspiring. Thank you so much, Amanda. Vant is a nutritarian. So like Dr. Fuhrman nutritarian, isn't that what Fuhrman's thing is nutritarian? I'm not sure if Dr. Fuhrman's nutritarian. That's what comes up first. And so, I got really no issues with the Fuhrman diet. I just like I like the whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free. And I guess I would imagine that my diet would qualify as a nutritarian diet, wouldn't it? Like there's nothing, let me see. Let's see. Getting started, read the book. All right. Yeah. Well, here this says Dr. Fuhrman. Maybe Dr. Fuhrman is no SOS because I'm on drfuhrman.com. And you know what? I'm just going to do this. Tell me if this works. We'll go to this. Here we go. Can you guys read that? Maybe if I make it a little bigger. I don't know if I get in trouble for going to somebody's website on here or not. But beginner guide nutritarian diet. So Eat for Life. That's not the book I read though. It's a different one. I'm not ready for life. Keep learning with membership. And so, can a plant-based SOS boost your health? Yes, there's excellent scientific evidence that most chronic disease can be reversed by a nutritarian diet. Scientific research highlighted in Eat for Life. The name of the book is Eat for Life. That's not the book I read. Now I'm going crazy. Hold on, guys. I got windows everywhere here. The book I read, Eat to Live. Eat for Life must be another book. Okay. So, let's see. Some people, Pretty Girl's mom says there's probably more nuts and seeds in that diet than what I eat. Jonathan, we eat too much starch to be doing Fuhrman's diet. LOL. He recommends half a cup of starch per day. Oh my gosh. I definitely don't eat that. Does it say to reduce the starch in here? I guess he doesn't have any starches in that picture. So, let's see. The recipes, all kinds of stuff. So, yes, I must eat too much starches to be on his diet, maybe. I think I've seen that. But, yeah, and he must have another book, Eat for Life, which is different than Eat to Live, which is the book that I read. The Shrinking Shadow says he's all about nuts and seeds and non-starchy veggies and lots of beans. Lots of beans. I don't eat lots of beans, but I like the beans on our Spanish rice when we have it. So anyways, let me go back to this. Move this back around. So kind of eating Dr. Fuhrman, but too many starches. Let's see. Plants Only Muncher says Fuhrman has the books Eat to Live and Eat for Life, plus many others. Yeah, I'm sure. I know he's probably got a few books. Who is the other one? That Dr. Barnard. I've read one of his books, but I think he has a bunch of books out as well, that people read. So the let's see. I think that was most of what I was going to talk about there. I got a little bit of time. There was another analogy I wanted to talk about that kind of with the past couple weeks, and just I've talked about this analogy in the past, and so you guys probably know some of what I'm going to say, but it's about convenience and how convenience really is such a ruler of our lives, and in the motivational triad, the seek pleasure, the avoid pain, and the conserve energy, is where I really get caught. I really feel like, it's too easy to eat the junk food, and it's tough to walk away from it because of the convenience. And I love telling a story about when I was in college. I had a college professor that he explained to us that we give up our safety for convenience. Every single day, you give up your safety and you put most of us, maybe not everybody, but put ourselves at risk of death every single day when we get in a car. And we accept that risk by just getting behind the wheel of the car. Everybody knows that anything can happen at any moment, and you can be driving down the road and something crazy happens, and you get into a car accident, and people die all the time from car accidents that nobody had any control over what happened. But it's a product of being able to drive a car. And prior to 1900, nobody ever died in a car accident because cars didn't exist. But because cars allow us to traverse such large distances so quickly, we are willing to give up that one death for every 100,000 miles driven, or 100, 200,000, however many miles have to be driven on, per death. But we're willing to give that up for that convenience of being able to go from here to the other side of the state in 4 hours, whereas 100 years ago it would have taken 4 days. But we could take that back. We could remove the risk of dying while driving. We would just have to change the rules of the road. We would no longer let people drive down the highway at 70 miles an hour, 80 miles an hour. We would change the speed limit to 15 miles an hour. We wouldn't allow cars to be made out of aluminum or metals that have any ability to crumple. We would require steel plating and reinforced sides and fronts and roofs of the vehicles. And if we did that, if we made the speed limit 15 miles an hour and essentially made everybody drive a tank, we would reduce the road deaths to nearly nothing. But nobody would go for that. Nobody would be willing to give up that convenience for those few people, random unknown people that might die, until that random unknown person becomes a friend or family or yourself. And so the same kind of thing happens with our diet. And if we think of being on our diet like being on the highway, and when I was eating like I used to eat, it was like driving down the highway at 120 miles an hour and never stopping. And so never giving my body a chance to rest. I was redlining the RPMs for years and years and years on end. And what I found is that eating a whole food plant-based diet with no added salt, oil, and sugar is like changing the speed limit changing the speed that I'm driving down the highway. I'm no longer driving down the highway at 120 miles an hour. I'm driving down the highway at 30 miles an hour. And there's still a chance that I could be at risk. And there's always a chance that I did damage to my car when I was going 120 that will come up, like my legs. But driving at 30 miles an hour, I take the risk out and I give my body a chance to heal. I'm no longer redlining the RPMs. Now they're in a comfortable spot. The engine's not overheating anymore. The coolant's not bubbling over. The oil's not getting burnt up. The tires are not being heated up as much. They're going to last longer. Everything about driving 30 miles an hour is better for me, but it's not as fun. It's not as exhilarating as that going 120 miles an hour. And I think that what maybe happened for me over the past few months, or maybe it happens to everybody who eats this way, is that I kind of got sick of driving at 30 miles an hour because it's slow and it requires us to make every meal that we eat. And it's not as easy as driving 120 miles an hour. And so the last couple weeks, I don't think I was driving 120, but I got back up to 70, with the foods I was eating. I was putting myself back at risk. And I was not giving my body the chance to heal as it was. So, and so, yeah, I'm slowing the car back down, and it's going to take me longer to get to the destination, but if the destination is death, then I want it to take longer to get there. And that's kind of, yeah. So anyways, that's one of the analogies that I've been I've talked about that over the past couple years. It's something that really stuck in my head from the time that I was in college, and then reading the Pleasure Trap book, having them talk about convenience and how we give up so much for convenience. Um, and uh, yeah, so it's definitely something that we have to pay attention to, and you have to notice when the car's speeding up, and um, there's the road conditions maybe can be another part of the analogy. I'm sure I can expand on it more, figure out more parts of it, but just kind of slow down. You don't need to drive 10 miles over the speed limit, 20 miles over the speed limit. Eventually you're going to get busted. Eventually you're going to get pulled over by a police officer or a doctor, and they're going to say, hey, you keep driving this fast, you're going to have a heart attack. And so you slow yourself down. Or, yeah, you hit something in the road, you have that heart attack, you have that stroke, that thing that, yeah. Carrie says if that professor knew how often you referenced it. Yeah, I don't even know. He was an older guy when I was in college. I'm not sure if he's even around anymore. Yes. So anyways, I think I have to get going here shortly. My wife, no, I don't have to get going shortly. We can talk all night. But I don't know if anybody has any questions. I'd love to answer any questions. If you get a chance to hit that like button, hit the like button on the video. Maybe it'll get some more people in here, and we can talk about the diet and the weight loss a little bit more. Let's see. Yeah, this past couple weeks, it's been such a weird, like, on purpose isn't the right word, but I just let it happen. Like, I wasn't going to, I didn't, yeah, I just let the speed creep up, I guess, and I did it on purpose. Purpose is such a wrong word. I did it out of convenience and ease, and maybe a little bit of testing myself too. That's something that I talked about that a lot in the second year that I was doing this, the subconsciousness of making these choices. Like, maybe I'm free of it. Maybe I can handle having a little bit of processed foods, or having a little bit of snacks, and I tried eating just a little bit of chips and hummus, and I would do it, but then I would be grabbing something else like a granola bar or something shortly after. And so it was it really just maybe it just reinforces the fact that I eat a volume of food. And even when I eat the junk food, I'm still eating the same volume, and that the content is wrong. I have to eat a better diet so that I can satisfy my volume thing. But Carrie here says that she kind of went with it, but man, it's hard on her stomach to eat the junk food. Yes, Carrie definitely did a much better job than I did over the past couple weeks. Sticking to the diet made me feel like how I should feel when I was eating crap food in front of her and she's eating her broccoli and potatoes. So she definitely did better for me. Shrinking Shadow says she's late. She missed the beginning. Yeah, we got into the wrong foods. Right. Yes, we got into the wrong foods. We opened up the wrong food bin and got into some of the wrong stuff. But yeah, some Chipotle, some snacky foods. Um, yeah, just kind of what was around. I probably had, there's a vegan restaurant that's near us that was probably the worst meal I had was, they had, like impossible patty, like impossible beef patty. So that was, um, yeah, definitely probably the worst. But yeah, it was something that so at the end of July, I was gone for 10 days, ate barely anything, and lost 10 pounds. Felt great, seeing the weight loss, but I just rebounded from it. I think my body said, hey, we underate for 10 days. Now we're going to overeat for 10 days, and you're going to have to deal with it. And, yeah, maybe that was my own mind tricking myself into letting myself eat the pleasure trap foods, but really just some foods that I shouldn't have been eating. Really immediately inflammation, swelling, joint pain. It's something somebody mentioned earlier I was going to talk about is that pretty quickly my ankle started hurting again. And I think that has to do with the leg swelling and the bones moving, things like that. But yeah, it comes back. So, Plants Only Muncher says you didn't plan well for the Ragbri ride and it got you off track. I didn't plan well for the post Ragbri. Like if, yeah. And yeah, it's something where another analogy that I was talking to Carrie about, and I felt like this year has been my Goldilocks year. It's what I'm going to call it, I guess. But the first year, I feel like I did everything so strict and so hardcore. And it's like the Goldilocks and the Three Bears story is that Goldilocks goes into the house and she tries the porridge, and the dad's porridge is too hot and the mom's porridge is too cold and the kid's porridge is just right. And I almost feel like that my first year I was doing it the dad's way. The porridge was too hot. The bed was too firm. And so then the second year I went the other kind of way with it, is that I was too soft on myself, so porridge was too cold, the bed was too soft. And then this third year has really been me figuring out the middle between the too hard and the too soft. And Ragbri is definitely an event where I don't feel like I got it right. Whereas a lot of the other events that I did in the past year, we do a family reunion, a holiday, everything I'm doing right now. This is the third time I'm doing it since I started my diet. And so, I don't feel like I did anything super bad. And I feel like because I was eating low volume, I allowed the processed foods in. And it was that transition to when I got back home that I should have just had an abundance of food available and get into it. I also was super tired, and lack of sleep makes poor decisions. And I think that had a little bit to do it as well. Shadow says here, it happens. Don't beat yourself up. The most important thing is you're back on the right path, and vegan restaurants can be dangerous. Yes, they can. Like I live in Iowa in the Midwest of the US. If I pull up the Happy Cow app, if you don't know what Happy Cow is, it's an app where you can find vegan restaurants. If I pull that app up, there's one restaurant within 70 miles of me that's a vegan restaurant. And that restaurant, while I appreciate they have vegan food, it's an all vegan restaurant, they need to appeal so they can survive to a much larger crowd than the plant-based community. And so, yes, they have lots of processed foods. And many of the vegan restaurants, even if I do travel 70 miles or further to get to them, are going to have a lot of processed foods, because that's a whole another conversation, but it's capitalism. It's that they want return customers. In order to get return customers, you have to get a high dopamine response from the people when they're in your restaurant. In order to get high dopamine responses, you have to increase the calories in the food. That's why people go back to these restaurants. And these restaurants, they add extra butter and extra salt and extra sugar to all these foods so that you come back, because you had a positive experience when you were there the previous time. And vegan restaurants are no different. If they were serving the food that I eat to customers and people quit coming back, they'd go out of business. So they have to serve the foods that are going to give them a high dopamine response. And then what happens is they got limited space available on their menu. And so they have to decide whether or not they leave some of these super healthy foods on there or not. And I don't think many of them do. Carrie says that every morning her ankles have been hurting when she has a bunch of salt. When I'm on track, you don't have the achy joints in the morning, and at least we know the cause. And then, I think, Carrie says there isn't much healthy food at the local vegan restaurant. Shrinking Shadow says, yes, they add a lot of salt and oil to the recipes. And I can't blame them. They're trying to run a business and they're trying to get return customers. And if people aren't getting that response, or if they can do it just as good at home, then they'll do it just as good at home. So they have to make it more dopamine stimulating than what you would make at your house. Tricky Shadow says, I'd say you're lucky one having all those vegan restaurants nearby, but I guess I'm the lucky one not having any very close. Well, we have one, but it's a distance away, so you don't go often. Yeah, there's not a lot of veganism in the community I live in. And so there is a vegan food truck though, that we did have as well. So I am thinking of more things that we had, but that was some like street tacos, which were delicious, but again, not great for me. Yeah, Carrie says not many people would enjoy the food that she makes. It takes a bit to get used to the lack of salt. Yes. And that's something that if Tony's still listening, or anybody that's considering eating a plant-based diet, is food takes time to get used to, just like your eyes adjust to the different light when you go from a bright room to a dark room or back and forth. Your body adjusts to the different foods that you eat. And so if you're eating a highly stimulating diet, it's like standing in a brightly lit room. And if you start eating a whole food plant-based diet, it's like walking into a room with a single lamp on, and it's going to take time for your body to adjust. With our eyes, it happens in seconds. With our stomachs, it happens in weeks. And so you have to give yourself a chance to adjust. Tricky Shadow says they have a vegan food truck, but it is an oil pit. Yeah, there was months ago, or actually a few different. There's a Vuture Foods, Vuture, Vuture Foods, that we've gone to their food truck, and yes, everything is fried. That is what they serve. So that is great. Let's see. Plants Only Muncher says it's great. It's good that you always get back on track. Strive for excellence, but you don't have to be perfect. Yes. that's something that I've been working on too. You know, that's the ego trap. Dr. Lisle talks about it, is something that I think about quite a bit. And just that, don't let the drive for perfection, or, you know, let that discourage you when you come up short, because yeah, you're gonna come up short sometimes, and you got to be okay with that. But yeah, it is good that when I am perfect, though, I lose weight, and so I want to lose weight again. So I'm gonna get closer to that perfection, I guess. Um, but you know, at the end of the day, I'm 270 pounds lighter than I was 3 years ago, and 1 week of eating a few junk meals is just a small snapshot of time in the whole grand scheme of things. You know, if I spend the next 40 years being compliant 350 days a year, I'm going to become that healthy version of myself that I want to be. And yeah, something that it's about time. That's why I challenged myself to do this for 3 years, because I knew that it wasn't going to just be something that I'm able to just get done and fix, you know. And the timing of everything has been far different than I expected it to be, but I'm very happy with how things have gone and where I'm at along in this process right now. And yeah, anyways, that was kind of a catch up here, I guess, from the past week I've been away, or 6 days I've been away. If you guys have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. But I think I'm going to get out of here for today. I got to get a couple things done, take the dog to dog training, which is something we haven't done for a long time. So we're getting back into the swing of dog training. And then, yeah, go home and get some rest. I'm feeling better. I think I could still use some more sleep, but I'm doing much better with it. And I think that was a contributing factor at the end of the day, was lack of sleep too. So Shrinking Shadow says, great seeing you. Keep going. You got this. Yes, it just takes time, you know. But the fat will not win overall. Yes. See you later, Tony. Virgo Vibe says, I don't know one person who is perfect 100% of the time. 270 down is a great accomplishment. Yeah, I know. It'd be cool to say that I was perfect, though, but I think people, yeah, I mean, it's not possible. I mean, I'd like to see how close to perfect some people get, like Chef AJ and Goldhamer and some of those people, but yeah. Anyways, it doesn't matter. I am going to get there, and it's going to happen. Thank you for the great conversation. Have a good night. You bet. Thanks, Rebecca. Thanks, everybody. If you have not subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. If you've not clicked the like button, click the like button, click the bell icon so you get alerted when I go live or post new videos. Pretty Girl's mom says, everyone have a good evening. Nice seeing you all. Yes. If you have not started your diet yet, get started right now. There's nothing coming up that's more important than your health and your overall well-being. And what's going to happen the next time that event comes up? What, you know, you have a graduation party or a wedding that you have coming up that you're going to. What happens next year when you have another graduation party, another wedding? Are you going to say, oh, well, I'm going to go off my diet for these days and then get back on your diet? Or are you going to find a way to stick to your diet and live those events? So get started right now. Nobody ever looks back after reaching their goals and says they wish they would have waited. Everybody wishes they would have started sooner. So get started right now. I will talk to you guys all tomorrow.